What I wanted to talk about today is two-stage gas furnaces. This is one of the things that was done to effectively increase efficiency of the gas furnace. Now, go back a bit, maybe 40 years or so, gas furnaces were kind of stuck in this standard design. The clamshell heat exchanger, the draft hood, and so on were all part of it. Well, at that time, before the 70s especially, gas was not very expensive, and it started increasing in price. We had a lot of price increases in the 70s, a lot of inflation and so on. Energy efficiency kind of took the front, the front position. But we had all these furnaces sitting here that were all made the same. Most of them were oversized. Some of them were massively oversized. And people were looking for ways to increase their efficiency. There were a number of companies came out with little doohickeys you put on the furnace that would shut it off. When it started up, it would start running, and then it would shut it off every couple of minutes and leave it for a minute or two and then turn it back on, stuff like that, to try to reduce energy costs. By the way, that little trick didn't work for sour apples. But so as new furnaces were coming online, they started thinking about these two-stage furnaces. The reason for a two-stage furnace is very simple. You're trying to keep a house at, say, 70 degrees. If it's 40 degrees outside, you're going to need so much heat. If it's 0 degrees outside, you're going to need a whole bunch more. So why run the furnace, 150,000 BTU furnace, when you only need maybe 30,000 BTUs of heat? So you say, well, we'll just turn it off. The thermostat's going to call for heat, puts out a bunch of heat, and shuts off sooner than it would if it was, very cold. Well, there's just inefficiencies with doing that. The heat up and cool down time of the furnace and just the short cycling is inefficient. The most efficient furnace is one that runs all the time. It never shuts off, during heating season anyway. So you want something that's more matched to the load than just a great big furnace. So what we started doing late 80s, early 90s, got into it pretty heavily, was we started putting two-stage furnaces in. And so what that meant was the furnace would run on first stage until the temperature in the structure dropped. If the temperature in the structure dropped with the furnace on, then the thermostat would call for that second stage to bring it up to temperature. And that was fine. And in fact, we found out that most of these furnaces where we had two-stage on them almost never went into second stage. Now, I'm living in the Pacific Northwest. It gets cold here, but we have what we call our 0 2 weeks or something in January or February. The rest of the time, the temperatures are most of the time in the low 30s to high 30s. So we didn't need that much furnace. And so the two-stage worked out pretty good. What's better than a two-stage, like I was talking about, a furnace that runs all the time? There's variable speed or variable firing rate furnaces out there that essentially do run most of the time during heating season. I'm not sure, they really haven't done exactly what you'd think. And of course, none of this stuff is going to change your is going to have your heating bill. Nothing like that. It's not going to do that. It will change it because it's more efficient, and that's worth it. But it isn't going to, just this magic thing. There were plenty of magic things came out, especially in the 80s, that were going to fix everything, but of course never fixed hardly anything. But the two-stage furnace, it's a pretty good option. I have one in my own home, and the first 2 years, I didn't even hook up the second stage. I never needed it. So, and I went on a lot of service calls where the second stage didn't work, and they didn't know about it for years. So we actually, what I'm saying there is we actually need less heat usually than we think we do to keep up with the load. So that's the second stage furnace, or the two-stage furnace. Good idea. Most furnaces now are pretty much doing that. It's really common. And it's a good way to save some energy. You won't save you're not going to save the farm or anything, but it does use less power. Or, yes, less energy. That's it on this one.